guys, today you're going to need all three of your graphite pencils, including your 5B, HB, and 6H, as well as your blending stump, a pencil sharpener, and a scratch sheet of paper. We're going to start with the 5B first. Rest your hand on the scrap sheet of paper while you shade to prevent smudging. The first square is going to be using light pressure and a high stroke frequency, meaning lots of marks close together as lightly as possible. Next, we're going to be using a high stroke frequency with heavy pressure. Next, you're going to do both light and heavy pressure cross-hatching, meaning alternating directions between each layers. It often helps to do many layers to achieve consistent, heavy shading. For blending, you want to first add just some consistent shading and light circular marks on top. Remember, it's very important you always want to blend with the blending stump and not your finger. Our fingers have oils in them, which can yellow the paper over time. So again, use that blending stump, small circular motions. It should fill in all the little spaces and give it kind of a cloudy texture. Next, we're going to enter into the most challenging part of this assignment, doing the heavy to light pressure hashed and cross-hatched. I often refer to this as gradient shading. So we start off with our heavy pressure on the left-hand side, transitioning into medium and then light. Again, high stroke frequency, consistent shading. Sometimes you'll have to go over it more than once to create that smooth transition. Next, we're going to do the heavy to light cross-hatched. This is where I see the most errors on this assignment. First, I do one layer hatched, and then I go over the darker area with cross-hatching. The purpose of cross-hatching is to eliminate marks, what I call the directionality. Here's what not to do when doing the hatching heavy to light. Oftentimes students will do a tiny little bit of heavy pressure, then mostly medium, followed by light. I'm looking for an even amount of dark, medium, and light tones whenever I shade. Next, students will start off at a good place, heavy shading, mid-tone, but then as the gradient shading gets lighter, it also gets smaller. Unless we're shading tornadoes, I shouldn't see any, right? This looks like a tornado. So what I want you guys to do is make sure that it's the same width throughout. Notice those red lines. And then finally, the most common error when shading in the cross-hatching. Students will start by giving me a cross of hatching. Really, the only part of this that is actually cross-hatched is going to be the center. This is not useful, right? We want to shade an entire space. So be sure not to make these errors when you shade in your hatching and cross-hatching gradient shading. Next, we're going to move on to our different textures. Stippling is when you make lots of tiny little dots using your pencil. I start off by outlining my area where that I want to fill, and then just gently lifting up my pencil up and down to fill the whole space. The trick with stippling is to barely lift your pencil off the page. For scumbling, you want to do tight, curly marks, about the size of your thumb. Watch as I complete this for the HB and 6H. Again, hatching, First light pressure, then heavy. Notice how I'm holding the pencil from the end, using the side of the lead. The trick is to be patient, adding lots of layers on top of each other to create consistent shading. The trick for this assignment is patience. If you finish this assignment in less than 30 minutes, you probably have gone too quickly. Oftentimes, doing consistent shading takes time and practice. So again, if you feel like you finished early, go back over and double check your work. Maybe there's some things that could be more consistently shaded. Maybe we could try one of the different sections again. Be sure to let me know if you finish early so that I can give you mid-process critique. Just feedback on your work. Again, the more feedback you have, the better your final grade will be. And there you go, all finished. Let me know if you have any questions.